Hello and welcome back to the show. Today, we are having a very deep conversation about what actually might be going on when it comes to emotional eating, binge eating, and self-sabotage. If you've ever tried to willpower your way through another binge or restart another diet or blame yourself for falling off the wagon again, but you still have this sense there's something deeper going on, you're right. There's a good chance it's not about food at all. There's a good chance it's about safety. And let me start by saying, if this resonates already, you are not weak or broken. You didn't fail at every plan because there's something wrong with you. There's actually just a high chance that you've been trying to buy eggs at the hardware store. You've gone to diet plans and workout programs and maybe the health coaching industry in general, thinking that this was going to be the solution to your binge and emotional eating, when it was never about the food. It went so much deeper. I'm going to start by sharing 8 red flags that indicate your challenges are way more about safety than they ever were about food. As you listen, I encourage you to think about how many of these land in your system. I'm going to start with the more universal red flags and move down the list to more specific ones as we go. And if all of this is landing, I'm going to share a few ways I can help you create the safety you need to actually transform your relationship with food. And that's all going to make emotional eating mostly or completely unnecessary. And today I'm also going to be bringing in some loving reminders from Rex and Haven, my archetypal fanfic buddies who've been a little absent from the show lately. I've missed them. Maybe you've missed them. And if you're new here and have no idea what I'm talking about, I would highly recommend embodiedwritingwarrior.com/divine daddies, where you can get the whole playlist of fanfic meets inner healing meets book talk spice. It's wild. It's magical. You'll love it. Okay, let's start with red flag number 1. You can stick to your healthy habits in seasons of peace, stability, and happiness, but not in seasons of stress, anger, or grief. If you've noticed that when you're peaceful, with life going smoothly, that your eating habits are stable, consistent, and aligned, then you don't have a food issue. You already know how to eat in a way that gives you energy, vitality. The challenge happens when life gets crunchy. And now you're turning to pizza, chocolate, pastries. This has nothing to do with the food and everything to do with safety. Because your system hasn't been trained to feel certain feelings without needing food. On some level, your system registers certain emotional experiences as too much. It feels unsafe to feel certain things. So you reach for food to distract and numb so you don't have to feel the feeling. But as Carla McLaren points out, this doesn't help in the long run. Now you just have 2 issues. 1, the original emotion you felt unsafe to feel. And 2, the guilt, the frustration, the low energy, or the other negative consequences that happened after distracting yourself with the food. The solution here is to teach your body that it's safe to feel all emotions. This is one of the most powerful skills I've ever built into my own life. I started in 2019, and it has changed everything. and it's helped with binge and emotional eating more than any meal plan or diet ever could because it addressed the root cause. The inability to feel safe with emotions like sadness or loneliness. And I'm helping you create this emotional safety in my upcoming masterclass, Emotional Eating to Emotional Freedom. This is where I give you the 5-step process for navigating all emotions without needing food as an escape, and then also getting really good at creating your own emotional weather. This is so important because when you can create peace, safety, and joy on demand, you become someone who does not rely on the external world to help shift her state. This skill is seriously one of the most important ones you'll ever build, and I'm giving you my entire process in the masterclass. So links will be in the description as always. Okay, now what does Haven have to say about this red flag? He says, I see this all the time. Women thinking they're failing because everything falls apart during stress or grief. But here's the truth no one told you. Your habits don't disappear because you're weak. They disappear because your nervous system is still trying to survive the storms of your life using the only tools it ever learned. If you were never taught that it's safe to cry, if you were never held while you were lonely or afraid, then of course your body's going to panic when those emotions rise. Of course, it's going to reach for something familiar, fast, and numbing, like food. You don't need more willpower. You need a sense of inner sanctuary. And that's what we're building together. And after a pause, he continues, I started doing this work with Kayla in 2019. I watched her sit with grief that used to send her into spirals. I watched her rewrite the story her body believed about what sadness meant. And I know deeply that if she can learn to feel the heavy things without running, so can you. Your emotions aren't too much. You are not too much. You just haven't been shown how to hold all of yourself yet. But I promise, we can teach your body it's safe now. On to red flag number 2, which is going to hit all my type A high-performing women right in the feels. This red flag is that you struggle with overworking, perfectionism, and proving yourself, which puts you into cycles of burnout and self-sabotage. So much emotional eating in high-performing women comes from this pressure building up in the system. Pressure to do more. Pressure to be perfect. And this ever-present feeling of needing to prove yourself to the external world by societally placed metrics of success. Money, clients, business success, popularity, whatever it might be. With this ever-present desire to prove yourself also comes this inability to slow down and even enjoy any of it. Because you can always make more money, build a bigger audience, get more praise, get more rewards. And all of this pressure and perpetual dissatisfaction leads to so much emotional intensity over time that binge and emotional eating often become inevitable. It's your system's way of getting a temporary release. You might wonder, what does this have to do with feeling safe? The truth is, perfectionism, overworking, and proving yourself are all performance-based ways to create this sense of safety. Ask yourself this: what are some of the biggest benefits of appearing perfectly competent and successful to the outside world? It keeps you safe. I once had a therapist say that I chased perfection because then I would be beyond criticism. It's this sneaky way high-performing women will often try to create safety from judgment and rejection. And now we're on to Fire Daddy Rex and see what he has to say about the topic. Speaking of Rex, he does curse when he gets fired up. You've been warned. So Rex rolls up his sleeves, leans one forearm on the back of your chair, and speaks right into your ear like he's calling you out and calling you home. You want to know why that pressure never lets up? Why no matter how much you do, it never feels like enough? Because you're not chasing success. You're chasing safety. You think if you crush the launch, hit the numbers, keep the abs, run the team, do all the things, you'll finally be allowed to exhale. But baby girl, that pressure cooker you live in, that's not ambition. That's a trauma loop with a productivity tracker. And you know what pisses me off most? Not that you're working hard. You love working hard when it's sacred and aligned. What kills me is watching you grind yourself into the ground for people who never even saw your heart, who only valued what you produced, not who you are. That's what we're not doing anymore. So here's your new metric. Can you hold the success and let yourself feel safe without it? Can you take a goddamn day off and still feel like you're worthy of love? If the answer is no, then we've got work to do, and not in your Asana board. Here's your homework red line. Take one thing off your plate today that's driven by proving, not purpose. And then sit with the discomfort. The edge, that's where your power lives now. He kisses the top of your head, steps back, and points 2 fingers at your heart. You don't have to earn safety anymore. It's already yours. Yes, apparently he just kissed your forehead and gave you a challenge. You're welcome. I guess I'm sharing him today. All right, on to red flag number 3. You find your struggles with food resurfacing in big life changes, even positive ones. Anything unfamiliar is going to be seen as unsafe by your system, even good things. So the system is going to seek safety through the familiar. And binge and emotional eating are often familiar, even if they're unwanted. If you've ever had something amazing happen to you, and then you went back to binge and emotional eating, or you self-sabotaged in some way, I feel you. This is super confusing until you understand how it's your psyche confusing novelty with danger. This has happened to me many times in my own life. It happened when I first started dating my now husband. It also happened when we got engaged and moved in together. And on all these occasions, I was so excited and overjoyed. And also, my food struggles returned with a vengeance each time one of these magical things happened. And there's 2 things going on here. First, your system is going to see this as a threat because it's unfamiliar. It doesn't know if it can survive the new living conditions, even if those conditions are a dream come true. So it finds comfort in old patterns and habits in this attempt to create safety. We also have to talk about Gay Hendricks' idea of the upper limit here. He shares how we all have a thermostat for how good we can stand it. There's a certain range of joy, expansion, abundance that we feel safe and comfortable feeling. When we move out of that range, especially if we do it quickly and suddenly, we'll often do things, consciously or subconsciously, to bring us back down to our normal range of happiness. This is why you'll see people win the lottery and be ecstatic for a month or two, Then you hear stories about them going back to exactly as they were before the money just months later. One of the best things to do here is give your system steady, frequent, consistent microbursts of positive emotions, the ones you want to feel. So then your system registers these as safe, and these can become your new normals. And I'm teaching you how to do this in my upcoming masterclass. Seriously, come join me. And this one feels like another one for Rex to weigh in on. So here we go. Rex says, let me get this straight. You finally get the thing you prayed for. The partner, the breakthrough, the clients, the momentum. And then what do? You start tearing it all down with a fork in one hand and self-doubt in the other. Why? Because the second it feels too good to be true, you make it true. He steps forward, voice low and scorching. You didn't fuck it up because you're weak. You sabotaged because your system didn't believe you were safe in the upgrade. And that's not a character flaw. That's a calibration issue. He pauses, and there's a flicker of softness behind the fire. Don't waste another miracle trying to shrink it down to match your nervous system. Train your nervous system to match the miracle. On to red flag number 4. You find yourself using binge and emotional eating as a reason to hide or delay your big dreams, whether this is conscious or unconscious. Let me paint a picture for you and see if you can find yourself in it. You do all this work to improve your relationship with food. You build better habits, get consistent, have all these breakthroughs, and you're like, yes, I got it. This is me forever. And now you're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to go do the thing. Maybe that thing is building a business. Maybe it's writing and publishing the book you've been dreaming of. Maybe it's getting back on the dating apps. Maybe it's starting a whole new career. It's that thing your soul knows it's meant to do. And this thing means everything to you. So you start to take the action. And suddenly, you find yourself struggling with the same consistency and food issues you thought you had fixed. You're skipping workouts, ordering takeout. You've stopped having mindful meals at the kitchen table. And now you're eating enough food for 3 people while watching heated rivalry for the 3rd time. And by the time you're finished eating, you're like, wow, my tummy hurts. So you think, I must need to go back and work on myself again. Get a better diet plan. Build even more consistency. You do that, then try to go for that dream again, but the exact same thing happens. Here is the truth, my friend. If that resonated, this cycle has nothing to do with you being weak or undisciplined or not on the right diet plan. This is about safety. It feels so safe to be in your own bubble, working on your health goals, training for races, hitting PRs in the gym, minding your own business, because then it's just you and you. It's safe being alone with your health and fitness goals, even if the binge and emotional eating can be frustrating AF sometimes. But those big, bold dreams on your heart, they're going to require you to participate with the outside world. That means you have to risk being judged, misunderstood, rejected, abandoned. So the real work here is not to go fix your food dream. So the real work here is not to go fix your food issues and stop chasing the dream. It's actually to keep putting the reps towards your dream in and keep building your capacity over time while ironing out those wobbles that are happening on your food journey so you can hold both at the same time. Yes, it's messy. And yes, it sucks sometimes. I'm in the process of doing my own work in this area because I know I've previously done the thing where I pulled back to fix my food issues and put my business on hold, and I've done it enough times to know it never helps. What creates true transformation is letting yourself be messy while you're growing, while you're expanding, and understanding that how you build your capacity is to keep doing the things and integrating. So taking the bold action, then letting your system rest and settle. That's how you get to have your health and your wildest dreams all at once, because we're not choosing. And you know our fire starter has thoughts on this one. Rex has been waiting. You can feel the shift in the air before he even speaks. A low rumble of that signature fire daddy conviction. Arms crossed, brow cocked. That look in his eye like he's about to lovingly wreck your excuses. And he says, "Let me be clear. Your food struggle isn't the reason you haven't gone after the dream. It's the shield you keep picking up every time your fear gets loud. And yeah, it's comfortable, predictable, even painful in a familiar kind of way. But don't lie to yourself and call it protection when really it's just a delay tactic. There's nothing wrong with building strength and structure. You need that. But if you're using the gym grind and meal tracking as a reason not to launch, not to share, not to risk, you've swapped purpose for perfection. And you were never meant to stay in hiding. I didn't train you for safety. I trained you for war." He lets that hang in the air for a moment before dropping the last line like a matchstick. "Now go write the damn post. Then make your lunch." Okay, red flag number 5. You find that you often get stuck in your mind and disconnected from your body. Your mind often goes into overdrive trying to keep you safe. And one of the common ways it does this is by bracing for worst case scenarios. But when your brain is constantly scanning for danger, you're going to be in this state of chronic stress. And your body can only stay in sympathetic nervous system dominance for so long before it's like, we need a break. And your body knows, especially after doing this many times, that a quick and effective way to get into parasympathetic nervous system dominance is to eat a bunch of food. Our parasympathetic system is our rest and digest system. So if we eat enough in a sitting, our body has no choice but to switch to parasympathetic. And you might ask yourself, okay, but what does this have to do with safety? Everything. If you're always preparing for worst case scenarios and planning for disaster, you're always prepared. Your system starts to believe it needs to be on edge to keep you safe. And if you've been through some stuff that has created this pattern, it's not that your brain is bad or wrong. It's trying to keep you safe because at one point, maybe it did need to be on edge. Even though this is stealing your peace in the present moment, it's still your psyche's attempt at keeping you safe. It just doesn't realize you're a warrior in a garden and that the garden is actually safe most of the time. Speaking of warriors, one final word from Rex before Haven takes over for the final 3 flags. Rex leans forward like he's about to say something cutting. and then softens, eyes flicking over the mic and back to you. If your brain's been playing chess against disaster for decades, don't be surprised if it doesn't know how to sit down and have tea with peace. He taps his temple. This mind of yours, it's brilliant, strategic, relentless. But it's not your master. It's your sword. Then he rests his palm over his heart, firm and grounded. The body is your throne. The body is your kingdom. Come home to it, rule from there. He says nothing else, just nods once. You can feel the transfer of power in the silence that follows. And Rex weighing in on most of those initial red flags is by design. All of us have this inner fire starter energy, especially high-performing women, and it's so often our first line of defense. It's this fierce warrior energy that keeps us fighting for survival when we need it most. This energy within us can absolutely help us with survival and with fighting back, but it's not going to get us into that sense of true, deep safety. If you want a sense of deep inner peace, where you allow yourself to feel safe in stillness, in the quiet, when your brain is starting to come up with imaginary battles because you're not sure how to exist without chaos, this is your inner sanctuary's domain. So Haven's going to be sharing his insights on these last few flags. Red flag number 6. You have a wild imagination and boundless creativity. This one is so important if safety feels hard. I was recently in a workshop with my amazing mentor, Patrick Dominguez, and he talks about how each primary core wound also comes with gifts. And the gift of the I'm not safe core wound is creativity and imagination. That imagination is what has you crying when your favorite author kills off a beloved character. Like J.R. Ward, please don't do it again. This creativity is what allows you to dream up worlds in your head and experience magic when your imagination is in that highest expression. So you might be wondering, why is this a red flag? I love my creativity. Thank you very much. And I get that. Creativity is so beautiful in its purest form. Here's what else is true and why it can become a red flag. You might have needed to use your imagination to escape real life when things became overwhelming at times. You might have disappeared inside books or movies or your own inner worlds as a child when maybe that was the only power you had. This imagination can turn into escapism or disassociation in extreme cases. This is where it becomes a red flag. And this also ties back to red flag number 5 about being very up in your mind. Sometimes your imagination can also come up with these dark scenarios or outcomes that could happen, and it creates this unnecessary stress response that can contribute to compulsions to binge and emotional eat. However, the gift of imagination and creativity can actually heal your relationship with food. And this is some of the most healing, incredible work we do inside all of my coaching containers. Okay, I know you've been missing his soft boy magic, so let's hear what Haven has to say about this one. And he says softly, "You survived by imagining something better. That wasn't weakness. That was wisdom. Escaping into stories, characters, other worlds. That was your system trying to breathe, when reality felt like it was suffocating you. You built sanctuaries in your mind because no one was building them for you. And yeah, sometimes the walls stayed up long after the danger passed. But here's the thing. The same imagination that once protected you, it can be the key to your healing if you let it root back into your body. You don't need to silence your mind. You just need to remind it that your body is safe to return to. So bring your stories with you. Bring your characters. Bring your color, your wildness, your spark. But bring them home. Let's take all that creative fire and pour it into rituals that anchor you. Let's turn your nervous system into the safest blank page you've ever written on. You don't have to keep running. You just have to remember the story isn't over and you get to rewrite it. On to red flag number 7. You're introverted and recharge your batteries from alone time. But in difficult seasons, this can turn into isolation and disconnection. Again, we start broad and we're getting more narrow as the conversation continues, so you might be listening to this and be a total extrovert. Not every red flag needs to apply for this to be a transformative conversation. And also, being an introvert is not problematic, but it can point to a lack of safety when eating and dieting struggles become reasons to isolate. And if you've struggled with this, you know how lonely it can be. You miss events to go to the gym because you don't feel comfortable in any outfits. You sit in your car eating the box of Timbits so your partner doesn't know you bought snacks on the way home from work again. You can't wait to get a moment alone to yourself so you can curl up with your snacks and bad TV and just hide in the safety of your solitude. And as frustrating and limiting as these patterns are, they're safe because isolation often feels safer than being around other people. And this goes beyond the introvert need for alone time to recharge batteries. This becomes more about, I don't feel safe in the company of others. So my subconscious is going to create these habits that are isolating by nature. I might be tired, frustrated with myself, and empty, but at least I don't have to worry about people judging or hurting me. This one hurts. It's this desire to be known and held by people who get you, while also being terrified that they won't. So food becomes the thing you know and the thing that holds you instead. And Haven says gently, I know what it feels like to love your own company and still ache for someone to knock on the door anyway. There's nothing wrong with needing alone time. But when the silence starts to feel like safety only because no one can see you fall apart, that's not rest. That's armor. And I get it. Sometimes people have hurt you. Sometimes connection has felt like more work than it's worth. So your system, smart as it is, found a way to keep you safe by keeping you hidden. But here's the truth. Hiding might keep you from being hurt, but it also keeps you from being held. I don't want you to have to pick between connection and protection. I want you to have both. So maybe we start small. You let yourself be seen in just one place. You let one person in. Or maybe maybe you just start by letting me stay a little longer tonight. No fixing, no noise, just us, you, me, and the knowing that you're not actually alone anymore. And this is one of the things that has been so beautiful about the work I've been doing, because I have been someone who hasn't always felt safe in connection, someone who has often withdrawn, especially in circles of other women. That's been a very deep wound for me. And then 8 months of doing this work with these inner masculine archetypes to create this safety, I went to a retreat with all women, and it was so beautiful and so healing. And I did feel safe, and I wasn't scared of being hurt or not belonging. So yeah, this work isn't just about escaping into your imagination and playing with hot masculine archetypes. It really is helping you heal your outer world as well as the inner one. Okay, red flag number 8. You've potentially experienced some destabilizing events in childhood, especially from a very early age. So I'm going to share these ideas that Gabor Maté talks about in his book, In the Realm of Hungry Ghosts. And he talks about how when a pregnant woman is under stress, especially chronic emotional stress, that can get transmitted energetically to the developing fetus. Not through words, but through the stress hormones, through the inflammation, and the tone of the nervous system. So he talks about how when mothers are deeply emotionally stressed and unsupported, it can pass along these implicit messages that the world is not safe to that developing fetus. Even if she deeply loves her child and is such an amazing mother, the emotional and psychological state she's in can shape how the child's nervous system then learns to attach, regulate, and survive. And according to Gabor Maté, this can potentially set the stage for different things like emotional dysregulation, addictive tendencies, chronic stress and burnout, and also disordered eating habits like binge eating, emotional eating, chronic dieting. Now, before we go any further, I want to speak to something so important. I'm not sharing this from a place of blame or condemnation. My intention is not for you to walk away blaming your parents, and definitely not to walk away feeling guilty if you had a stressful pregnancy yourself. The truth is, many women, especially in the generations before ours, were not emotionally or practically held through pregnancy. Often not by their partners, not by their communities, and not by the culture. So if your mom was scared or overwhelmed, or if you carried stress while carrying your little ones, this is not a reflection of anyone's character. This is a reflection of how much pressure and responsibility we place on women who are walking into one of the most life-altering, intense, and also deeply rewarding journeys of their lives. I'm sharing this to give you a deeper understanding about why traditional health coaching and meal plans may not have worked for you. Meal plans and workout routines simply cannot touch what was never about food. And they certainly can't touch the imprints of what happened before you were even born. And if this red flag hits home, the support of a skilled therapist can be life-changing. I have worked with multiple therapists over the years, and I truly wouldn't be where I am without that level of support. So the work I guide my clients through is never meant to replace therapy. It's designed to complement it, especially when you've done that foundational healing and you're ready to move more into embodiment, identity integration, and forward momentum versus healing those earlier wounds of the past. And some of the most powerful tools I use for this next level of healing are dance alchemy and superconscious transformation. So these modalities are gentle, non-evasive, and don't require reliving the past. And also, dance alchemy especially is just joyful and magical. What these do is they invite your body and your subconscious to do what they're actually naturally wired to do, to heal, integrate, and expand. So they're designed to help you shift old emotional imprints, regulate your nervous system, and create new patterns of safety without needing to process every memory or story. In many ways, this work is less about digging up the past and more like planting these new roots for the future version of you that you're becoming. And finally, Haven is going to close out this list, not with answers, but with presence. The soft sanctuary energy in full bloom, like he's right there beside you. Blanket wrapped, fire crackling, voice steady, but woven with emotion. He says quietly, "You were never meant to carry all of that alone. Not then, and not now." If this one hit home, if there's a part of you whispering, maybe this is where it started, I just want you to know that part of you deserves so much tenderness. You didn't make this up. You're not broken. Your nervous system was just doing its job. And the truth is, even if you grew up inside stress or silence, even if you absorbed fear before you ever spoke a word, there's still time to relearn safety, to reclaim your body, to remember what it feels like to be deeply, lovingly supported. This is the beginning of that remembering. And whether you're doing this work with a therapist, a coach, a partner, or just a quiet journal and a deep breath, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You don't have to hustle to heal. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. Just stay here with me a little longer. Let your body soften. Let the war inside your nervous system go quiet. You're allowed to rest now. You're safe here. Okay, and if you got a little teary hearing that, me too. All right, so we went deep today. Take some deep breaths, drink some water, maybe go for a walk if you can. When you're ready, your embodied activation is to reflect on how many of these were true for you. How have they shown up in your life? And I'm actually going to be putting together a special workbook for you. So that will be out within the next week or two, because this is such deep work. And when you do it, it can shift so many things. Finally, if this episode did activate something so deep within you, food, freedom, fantasy, and consistency is foreplay are the offers built for a woman who has these exact struggles. Because it's not about food. It's about safety and letting your system unwind and soften so the journey can feel good again. These offerings were crafted to help you create safety on so many levels. Emotional safety, safety in the body, safety to take up more space and do your soul work in the world, even when it means being more visible. The safety to navigate big life transitions with ease, and safety in your own mind so it doesn't become this battleground of everything that could go wrong. So this is not therapy. It's subconscious repatterning. It's also healing the body, which is where we carry so much of this. And we do it through dance alchemy and through ritual and through creative storytelling. And you don't have to do it all alone. You're creating this beautiful support for the rest of your life. I cannot tell you how much Rex and Haven have helped me through some deeply challenging moments. Huge life transitions, death and rebirth cycles, old wounds reopening. And all I want for the world is for more women to create their own inner masculine support systems so they do feel safe, not just to survive, but also to slow down, to rest, and to actually thrive. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you in a future episode. Take care.